Even though they're not really a requirement for snap-fit or entry-level kits, adhesives are arguably the most important tool any modeler will use. Any model of any skill can be assembled, if crudely, without a hobby knife or side cutters, but won't really stay together without some glue. When you think about model glue, you're probably thinking about this kind of stuff: testers, tube glue. Solvent glue works by basically softening the plastic where it's applied and allowing the two parts to kind of melt together. It can come in a variety of different brands and formulas. The most basic kind, as I showed, is Tester's tube glue, which probably just about every modeler has used at some point in their life. It'll do the job, but it can be sloppy and hard to control, not to mention the fumes are pretty strong. More advanced modelers will tend to use a more controllable formula, such as Humbrol Precision Poly, which is very thin and has a hollow needle, sort of like a syringe style applicator for very precise application. But if the needle is not kept clean, it can clog. I typically use Tamiya cement. Their normal formula is fairly thick and comes with a thick brush applicator and can be very easily brushed on. While their extra thin formula makes use of capillary action to allow the glue to flow through the joint. Simply touch the fine tip brush to the joint and the glue will flow right along. Once the glue is applied to the joint, I like to let it sit for a minute or two and then lightly squeeze the two parts together. This forces the softened plastic together and will often create a bead of melted plastic that can be easily sliced off with a hobby knife or sanded, reducing the work necessary later on to fix the seam. Also known as cyanoacrylate, superglues form a very quick, very sturdy bond and is also effective at filling gaps and seams. It can respond well to accelerators, which chemically cure the adhesive in seconds as opposed to minutes. I typically tend to stick with Zap brand superglues, which are specially formulated for modeling and come in 3 varieties. There's the fast curing standard formula, the thicker gap-filling formula, and the slow-setting formula. Superglue is really the only way to go when it comes to non-styrene detail parts like photo-etched metal and resin. A word of warning though, you should never use superglue to attach clear parts, as the curing process produces a vapor that can cloud clear parts. Likewise, it is a very strong adhesive, so you want to try and keep it off your fingers. You don't want to get your fingers stuck together. And yes, that's happened. Yes, the same stuff you used to use for school art projects can also be used for model making applications. Mostly used for attaching clear parts, it is water soluble, dries colorless, and very easy to clean up. The downside is that the bond is very soft. It can be scratched off or peeled off. On the upside, it doesn't adversely affect painted surfaces or damage clear parts like solvent or superglues can. Another creative use of white glue is that it can be used to create small windows like portholes in small ships. Every once in a while, the need will arise for a type of glue that will do the job that none of these can really do. When this happens, I typically like to use 2-part epoxy. I use it most frequently when I'm doing light-up projects because it cures very hard, it sets very quickly, and won't damage plastic. It's especially effective when using fiber optics, as other types of glue, superglue or solvent glues, can actually damage the fibers. Apart from that, though, you're not going to find too many occasions when epoxy will be necessary. There's a handful of other types of glues out there that they each serve their own purpose, but for the most part, You know, these are the main ones that you're going to find yourself using. Now that we've had a bit of a look at the tools necessary for assembly, we're going to take a bit of a look at the tools necessary for finishing. Next time we'll start talking about paints. Thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.